Hey, I'm Duke on Twitch. If you want to support the channel and greensunzenith.com, you can find my Patreon, merch store, and singles store where you can buy singles through TCG Player or Card Hoarder in the video description. If you want to get in contact, you can also find all that info in the description below for things like donation deck lists or just wanting to reach out. Alright, let's get right into it.
Hey team, welcome back to Dukes on Twitch. Back today with a donation deck list from ThatMaverickJoe. This time looking at the more bug side of Maverick, which is pretty cool. I would say bug is one of my favorite color combinations. Obviously I love Maverick. And I think there is room here to look at the deck when, other than Swords to Plowshares, there's not too many white cards that are favorable in the metagame right now. So I really enjoy looking into different builds when the deck, or at least some of the core pieces of the deck, like Swords to Plowshares, like Knight the Reliquary, can somewhat feel a little bit aged. Less so swords, but definitely other cards within this kind of white niche. So really keen to see what we can do here today with still a pretty disruptive deck. We are still a Green Suns deck, this time using Wight of the Reliquary to go and find our lands. And then we do have some pretty cool beaters. Barrowgoyf, I think, has shown a lot of power for a lot of Maverick players. Have been speaking quite highly of Barrowgoyf for a few months now, so that's been great to see. Leovold, I'm always happy to play with. Edric is a pretty interesting one. I haven't seen Edric in Legacy since Young Frankenstein. If you're a older player, you might remember that deck. If not, you should definitely check it out. I believe SCG might have some articles on Young Frankenstein, but was essentially a Young Pyromancer deck that played Edric as kind of a low to the ground rug delver-ish style deck. I believe it played like Cabal Therapy, Young Pyro of course, and yeah, Edric to get above your opponents in card draw, which is pretty cool. We do have somewhat of a Nadu package as well with Springheart Nantuko, the Bristly Bill, and also the Safekeeper, which will be quite interesting to see how that part of the deck goes. It is nice to have somewhat of an I win button in the deck, but of course without putting too many slots together for it, you're not going to be a dedicated Nadu deck, so you won't be good as the other Nadu decks. In the mana base, pretty normal. Talons I think has been pretty good, and Spymaster's Vault is what I'm happy just to try out a little bit more. So Spymaster's Vault is a land that enters tapped unless you control a swamp. It adds black mana, which is great, and then also for a black, target creature you control connives X, where X is the number of creatures that died this turn. So you can draw X cards, then discard X cards, and put a +1/+1 counter on a creature for each non-land card discard this way. So it is kind of a way to have some form of getting rid of vanilla cards in matchups where you want to be able to draw into something else. So Collector Ouphe or Outland Liberator against some of the Elves decks, you might be wanting to draw into things like Orcish Bowmasters or Grist or Baleful Strix. But yeah, I think Spymasters is pretty cool to see. It does take some amount of setup, which is where it's kind of on the cut list for me, but I'm pretty keen to see how it rolls. The main considerations that I took here is that we are playing 32 creatures, so I did actually add in a Cradle over the island. We still have 3 sources for blue, which can be found with both fetch lands, which is fantastic. I also changed a Birds of Paradise for another Ignoble Hierarch just because of Edric. I really want to be able to bash face, and Birds by itself just isn't there for me. And then also added the Endurances into the main deck because I did want to find some space for Graveyard Hate that was a little bit on the unfair side. We do have Keen-Eyed Curator to kind of swallow everything up if that hits the field, which has been an all-star for me and a lot better than Scavenging Ooze because of the ability to turn it into a lot quicker threat. So Keen-Eyed's been pretty sweet. The board, I haven't actually played with Consign to Memory. This is a 1-mana instant for blue with Replicate 1. Counter target triggered ability or colorless spell. So pretty keen to see how this goes. Eldrazi is obviously seeing a lot of play. And there are just some triggered abilities that I'm pretty keen to see where Consign comes up. So Thoughtseize for any sort of unfair deck. Any sort of Stoneblade deck, I'm pretty happy to see it as well. Typically against combo, I'm more than happy to see Thoughtseize, so I'll just make sure we have the correct ones in the deck. Plague Engineer, I've also been really I really like it against Eldrazi for the X1 tokens. I love it for Springheart Nantuko. There are a few things running around that I think Plague Engineer is quite good against, so I wanted to add those in. Trophies is just kind of hit everything. We aren't a dedicated mana denial deck. We are running Wastelands and things like Bowmasters for potentially opposing mana dorks, but Trophy, just being able to hit anything, is really good. And I was happy dropping the Island as well because Forest and Swamp allows cast Trophy, which take out things like Blood Moon, Magus, Harbinger. The Layla of the Voids, I have been seeing a tick up in just like classic Reanimator, so I did want to have sort of a hard to deal with permanent for that. Fairy Macabre could be in here as well, but when I'm not running the Once Upon a Times, I do want to have, yeah, something a little bit more defined, and I think Leyline does that well. And then Force of Vigor. I just find Force of Vigor is a pretty fantastic card in most Legacy metagames, so I feel a lot safer having it in my sideboard than typically. Yeah, I do think that Spymasters is a little bit cute, because for it to come in untapped, you need to control a swamp. Target creature you control connives. You need creatures dying this turn, and also a creature that's sticking around. And then you need to also have cards in hand, because if you just draw 5, discard 5, then you are getting a bigger creature. But yeah, I think we'll see where that comes up. My other thought for this sort of slot was just another fetch land, because currently we have 2, 3, 7, 11, 13 turn 1 green sources. I typically like to have 14. But I'm happy to give this just one more go to see if there's a time where it comes up of being relevant. All right, Legacy League, play points. Nice gameplay. There we go. But yeah, pretty cool. I do have another donation decklist in the mix for more of a, I believe, green-white Mav, which is really cool. I think there's a lot of, yeah, really cool design in that space right now with things like Stoneforge Mystic, or going towards the Dark Depths plan, or just really honing in on the Green Suns targets and maybe having a bit more removal. Yeah, really keen to see how that performs. Also thinking of cards like Cabal Pit. Maze of Ith is kind of cool. I would call Maze of Ith a spell, not an actual land. So going down to 23 lands is a little bit rough. But Maze, yeah, Maze could be interesting. Probably if I was playing more of a Reclaimer or Knight version than just the whites, I think that could really be something to look for. But yeah, Bug, super interesting. Murderous Cut, we aren't using, I guess we aren't using our lands as much. We do have the Reclaimer, the Ramanap, which does of course make use of lands in the graveyard, but without not the Reliquary, without an Elvish Reclaimer, there's definitely less incentive to keep lands around. I mean, Barrowgoyf to some extent, but Barrow's been pretty good. It's still pretty fair, but I think the life swing that it can have is a little bit too good for a metagame where you have decks like blue-black, which a lot of the time do rely on just beatdown with kind of that reanimate entomb slot as kind of a plan B. I haven't run up against too much Delver. I know Eldrazi as well. Barrowgoyf is pretty strong, especially as just a large creature in general. Kozilek Command, also adding 2 types to the graveyard, is relevant there, and something you should definitely keep an eye on. Nice. I know there are people trying to figure out what happens with Echoing Deeps and Lake of the Dead. So when that comes about, I'll definitely make it more public. Pretty happy to keep this hand. We have turn 1 Dryad Arbor and then turn 2 Bowmasters or Wight, which is pretty cool. Okay. I might use the Misty just because Verdant can get either basic. I will also fetch here. Pretty happy to go for Bayou into Green Suns. At least if they use a removal spell on the Dryad Arbor, it's one less for the Bowmasters, which is really nice. Do I want to show the Cradle here? I probably want to play Cradle and then just play the Hierarch. It does obviously show quite easily that we do have Bowmasters, but I think that's fine. Our opponent might just think that we are elves at this point, sort of Cradle control. Yeah, sadly not tonight, but I will find out what happens there, because I know some people in the Discord were pretty keen to find out. I would assume this is a Terminus deck, but you don't know these days. Wrath of the Skies as well is another pretty sweet inclusion for these new sort of Jeskai decks. Green Suns is pretty sweet. But the question is, what do I want a Green Suns for? It's probably going to be Grist. I don't mind doing things pre-combat as well. Just in case they want to remove some of our creatures before second main phase. Gonna force it. Okay. I'm happy just to attack with the Orc. If that got removal, I'd be pretty happy with that. Play the Wight. And then play the Catacombs for the Scry land. Or the Surveil land, I should say. Okay. I could fetch a response for the Surveil land to get me 1 extra life. If I do want to... yeah, if I did want to get the extra life, but I think here I want to just make sure I hold up as much as possible. Because if they swept our board, it would obviously change what I want to keep on top. All right. So So you really want to find some sort of removal here. Doesn't do it. 4, 5, 6, 7. It's close. Play the bog. And then we can Talons before then. Yeah, the Wight I could definitely hold in case of a Wrath effect, but I didn't feel great only having the one real threat in play being the Orc token. I mean, I might even just take this as well. Yeah. Because I can use the Talon to get my... to save my Orc army. Interesting. Pretty happy here to attack with all three. Okay. This is 4 mana. So we can play the Ramanap. And if they counter, we can still play the Trop. Well, they're going to force. Okay. Play the Trop, hold up Talons. Oh, but they're going to draw a card here. No, but yes, but the Bowmaster doesn't do anything. Of course. I think here if they attack us, we just get rid of the Underground Mortuary and still hold up Talons and still have all our creatures. This is fine. Green Suns for Grist here would be great. Misty. Make them have something. I think we just hold the Misty here. There's nothing great it can get, and probably as an unknown it's a little bit better. Another Bowmaster does it as well, which is nice. But yeah, definitely a matchup where Swords to Plowshares is quite good, or some sort of potentially some sort of removal in the main deck, like Fatal Push or the trophies potentially. Definitely a little bit open to allowing them just to do what they want. Now it really has to be Bowmaster. I don't believe we have another way out of this with 2 blockers. Well, interesting. Obviously, it gets turned off by the Doorkeeper. Tough. Okay. I do like the trophies because they hit both Null and also Dreadnought. Consign's pretty interesting as well because that also hits both potentially. I do like the Force of Vigors. There's a few things here we could play around with. Like the Force of Vigors are fine. Plague Engineers don't do a whole lot against trampling creatures and also flying creatures. Collector Ouphe is most likely coming out here. We'll keep the Liberator. Springheart's pretty interesting. Bristly Bill at making just all our creatures pretty relevant. The Endurances I could see coming out. Safekeeper as well. It's not really one thing we're wanting to protect. Bowmasters. Whites are still cool. Edric, Leo. Probably the Edric. But it's definitely interesting. The Bog is most likely a cut here as well. I guess, yeah, with the Doorkeeper Thrall in play, then of course the Bowmaster is just turned off. Keen-Eye's definitely interesting because of things like Dress Down. It's quite easy, or easier to make it a bigger creature. But I don't think we're short of big creatures. I think here it's between the Springheart and the Bristly, and I think for me it's just the Springheart. A little bit of an awkward hand with Dryad Arbor here. And no great way to go around. No real like unfair way to get rid of their creatures. Okay, no lander. Okay. I think here I'm happy to keep this. And then just go for Trop here. It's pretty interesting. Trop turns all my colors, but I kind of like just getting Bayou. And then if they deal with the Ignoble Hierarch, we still have the Bowmaster. Just to make sure I can cast what I have in hand. I wouldn't like to get a Trop and then realize that they remove this, we untap and then just play the Wasteland pass. One second. Okay. I like holding up the Verdant. I could definitely see like back to basics or even Harbinger coming in. So I think getting a basic off the Verdant here is pretty good. Hey McTaylor, welcome. Interesting. Ooh. Sadly here, because of how we fetched, of course, we can't play the Edric, but I think that's okay. I'm happy to also attack into a Doorkeeper Thrall, because we can finish it off with the Bowmaster. Of course I can't, yeah. Really got to think about that. Doorkeeper in Stifenought just makes me think of only their creatures. Could have also cast the Bowmaster in their end step. But I feel like I need to hold it in response to a spell now, just to get some extra value and some sort of threat on the field. Does get a basic, but sadly I think we're just a little bit too far behind to do too much. But definitely a matchup where the lack of Swords to Plowshares definitely stacks up, because Strix is good, but if they remove the Strix, you want to have a backup plan. And sadly, if you don't run removal in the main deck, like potentially Fatal Push or Trophy, then yeah, you're gonna have a tough time. So maybe there's definitely consideration for removal outside of sort of Bowmasters and Strix. Bowmasters to take out pesky things, and then Strix. I guess we do have like Grist, but potentially, yeah. If you're playing Bug, maybe the thought is that you should definitely have some sort of main deck actual sort of removal instead of relying on creatures that are a little bit situational. But we'll definitely see with the next few games. Cool to see more Stifenought around as well. I really like it as a deck. I think it's quite underappreciated. I think it's a really good deck as well for anyone coming into the format as a fresh player. It's a pretty straightforward strategy. It's a great deck to learn about different sort of layers and sequencing for sure. And then to have like the Brainstorm Ponder guardrails alongside force is a really nice way to step into Legacy without being kind of blown out by making one indecision. Tough. Sadly, just not where we want to be in terms of mana. So pretty happy to mulligan this. Well, I did ask for mana, so I don't mind keeping this. Bottoming the Underground Sea. Let's have a quick think. If we lead on Safekeeper off a duel, which we kind of have to with this mana, and they Wasteland us, we kind of want to keep the Underground Sea instead of the Wasteland, but we'll see how this pans out. Interesting. That's quite nice. It means we don't have to fetch. Which is obviously great with Springheart in hand. Could have also just played the Wasteland, but I didn't want to show Wasteland against the Yavimaya deck. I didn't want to Wasteland there either because of crop rotation. This might also make them think we're on depths, which is quite nice. And that's kind of exactly where we were. Like, don't play the Verdant because of Wasteland, but here we are. Okay. Saga's going to be fine. I'm going to put them on lands, which kind of makes me just want to Wasteland next turn, which means that I don't want to fetch here just to hold the fetch land. But now that we have the Green Suns, it's pretty interesting as well. Especially if we get Bayou, move towards Noble Hierarch, get all our colors. That's very true. We can fetch for Underground Sea here and then tap it for green, which is pretty nice. Thank you for that. I also could just take them off the Yav here, which I kind of like because it takes them off Exploration. Typically the mana isn't great for their deck. It could potentially take them off the Saga. Okay. I think it's Bayou. Ouphe, attack with the Safekeeper. Maps already in the bin. Canopy and Depths. We do have a bit of fight here, which is nice. I do want a Springheart. Just because of Tabernacle. Ah, interesting. Sword supply shares. Keep the Bowmaster open here. Okay. I think it has to be fetch here, like Spring, like Nantuko. Maybe. Hey Darba, thanks for the follow. Hope you're well. Happy to keep the Misty open. It's been one of those weird games where just like onboard pressure does help, but none of the cards we've drawn have really been that great against lands. Okay. Interesting. Stupid. Very stupid. The forces, the ley lines. We can go out. The Safekeeper isn't great. Keen-Eyed. Springheart I don't mind taking out. It looked okay there, but I don't like it against Tab. Which is typically what we're going to see. Like, potentially even the Bowmasters. These I all don't mind. It might be just like one trophy. a little bit too fair, I think, especially against their great starts with like turn 1 Exploration or turn 1 Loam. Doesn't do a whole lot, and Keen-Eyed's going to take a bit of time to turn on, so happy to mull this. This does have Force of Vigor. It does have Bog. Pretty happy to keep this. It's between the Wight and the Strix. I think it's the Strix just because Wight could potentially also pair with the Force, but it's most likely the trophy pairing with the Force. Because if you take out Exploration and Saga, then you've kind of like, you know, two things. So I'm pretty happy with this. This gives me a plan against turn 1 Exploration or Saga Mox Diamond, and the Bojuka Bog's just nice to follow up with. Interesting. I actually don't mind just going for Forest and ramping, because it does get me closer to just hard cast a Force Vigor as well, which I'd love to do. Okay. Might have Containment Priest, but I don't think they would. But no early play is very interesting. No Saga. Ooh, yes. Thank you. Interesting. So I assume it's 4 swords in the main and then some number of Path to Exile sideboard. Keep on top. It's pretty big for a lands deck as well. Trop is also decent, yes. The reason for... Yeah, Trop is also quite decent. Could get rid of it here before they can actually do anything, but here I'm pretty happy just to pass with Force open. Wasteland's pretty great as well. I'm happy just to pass back. They make a construct. And then here I'm happy to go Force these two. And then Wasteland your green. And then potentially just preemptively Bog next turn. Interesting. I think here I like tapping like this for the Wight, playing the Bog, and then just in case of like Yavimaya, holding up the Assassin's Trophy for the depths or the stage. Because with the Keen-Eyed in hand, I'd love for them to just cast a Loam and then try to upkeep the following turn. That is blue. Play the Keen. Attack with both. Then probably just sacking the Dryad Arbor to go and find a Wasteland. Yeah. Really tough one for them. I felt like they just didn't have the powerful start that lands has to have against us, and we just were able to, yeah, jump on that with the like turn 4, turn 5 Force of Vigor. I'm going to go to the bathroom quickly. I'll be back in a second. Nice. Yeah, honestly, just like opponent in game 1 had things going, but just didn't find a real answer to a go wide strategy that we had in Tabernacle or Mazes, or get a Saga down and start making constructs. And then game 2, they just didn't have a fast start, which our hand was able to capitalize on. Being on a mulligan, but having like Assassin's Trophy and Force of Vigor for both ways of interacting with them. Okay, I don't mind this hand. Bit of interaction all around. Interesting. That makes me... I don't really want to get Forest here, just because it means we can't cast a turn 2 Baleful Strix without the Ignobled. So we're just going to go Bayou here into Ignobled. And act like we're a similar deck. Okay. That's pretty tough as well because of the Strix in hand. I think you're just going to be the Wight. Okay. No Lush Portigo, which is interesting. I also really like the attack here. Even if they don't have the Orc, I'm not going to block. But of course, if I block and they have Orc, then it's really brutal. They might even have Green Suns for 3 Grist to get rid of this and get the free attack in. Okay. I think here I just like Grist tick up. Okay. I do have a free attack here as well I should think about, I believe. Hopefully there's no endurance. not too much I can do about that. Probably a read though, so. I can potentially make it a 3/3 with. Yeah. We're just gonna lose it. Tough. Should definitely be a thought there of like why they're keeping the mana up. I wonder if they attack with everything. No. Interesting. They allow us to block. Really interesting, because even if they attack with the Orc, then at least one is getting through, or our token's trading with theirs, and this is taking 3. Talon is pretty interesting. Yeah, I should have definitely thought about Talon. Okay. Is it Dryad Arbor time? I don't even think it's Dryad Arbor time. I kind of want to get a Strix into play, but... So you like Dryad Arbor, fetch, get rid of Grist for the Bowmaster. Or tick down on Grist, trade. Play Strix. They have a Liberator to get rid of it. We don't have a token. But not a great line here. To play the Strixes, really need to get rid of the Bowmaster. To get rid of the Bowmaster, we have to have a creature in play. To get a creature in play, we have to fetch with a Misty to go and get... I think this game is done, but we can definitely see what this line would pan out to be. Okay. Well, at least we know about the opposition agent now. I like the trophies. I like the Plague Engineers. Collector Ouphe can come out. Liberator most likely. Strixes are tough against the Bowmasters, but we do have Plague Engineers for those, which is nice. No, not a big fan of Edric with a Bowmaster in play. It's obviously quite easy to say, but especially being legendary as well, at least Leovold draws you a card. Barrows are good. It could just be Astrix. It's actually quite funny playing without Swords to Plowshares because you realize just how good it is. And just by adding in, like going back to the like Abzan build, just how it deals with anything from like mana acceleration, disruptive creatures, creatures applying pressure, combo pieces. Pretty amazing. Pretty amazing it stood the test of time. And potentially has only gotten better because there's more things to hit in the scope of what a creature actually is. I could see a world as well where this is a Fiend Artisan deck, not a Wight deck, because you aren't playing too many creatures that really do anything. Okay. I'll keep this on the back of the Bristly. See how that pans out. We're just going to get a trop here. And go for Dryad Arbor. Happy to get the mortuary, make sure there's something good coming. I don't think it really matters. That's pretty good. Especially to go after their mana next turn. Okay. I mean, here we get to go. Take out your green source, take out your green source. Which hopefully makes life a little bit hard for them. It's really interesting seeing the chatter as well about Abrupt Decay in the Discord, the Maverick Discord, and just if it's well positioned, if it's clean answer for frog, if 2 mana for a 2 mana creature is good enough, if you need something like Pyroblast. Ooh, that's a good one. We're going to start with Leo. Okay. Bowmaster plus Wasteland, obviously quite good against the Mana Dork decks. But you really need to find them in the same sort of vicinity for them to really have an impact. I feel like just one by itself isn't good enough. So they're going to evoke Endurance just to be able to use the green mana of Cradle here, which is pretty huge. Ooh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is disgusting. I only just saw that line as well. Yuck. Hey Panda. Fun fact, that is the first time ever I've bestowed with Springheart. And sadly, it was against Maverick. And it was a game-defining change. Probably Savekeeper, I'm not a fan of. I'm happy to bring back in the Strix. I think because we have Plague Engineers as well to go after their Bowmasters, I'm more happy to have it. Okay. Happy with this. Turn 1 ignobled. Turn 2 orc potentially. Some removal and trophy as well. Okay. Let's go with the forest ignobled. Interesting. Really, really, really aggressive. But nothing against that either. So if they run Path, I would kind of like to have the Swamp here. But I do want to make sure I can cast my spells over the next few turns, and I'm happy to get the Swamp. And then just play the Bowmaster here on the Noble Hierarch. Hey Past, welcome. Hey Skyrus, welcome. Thank you very much for the Prime sub. I very much appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Let me know if you play Legacy. Ooh. I think I need to sadly trophy this here. The DB stands for Daybreak, and it's because I have a creator account. So thankfully, I have an account that's loaded with all the cards from Daybreak, which is really nice. I am going to use this. A little bit sad. A little bit against what we've been trying to achieve with our mana denial. I hope they just get a forest here. And then we can wasteland the scrubland. Okay. Well. You are more than welcome, Tamo Goat. And hopefully in an unset, they actually print a Tamo Goat. I don't think it's that far-fetched either that a Tamo Goat will make its way onto the Magic. Into the Magic Sphere. Yeah. I think just trying to take them off green is what I really want to do here. And then the following turn we can Springheart this and then play the Trop to hit this. Oh no, I can't because I need 4 mana for that. I think that's okay. Okay, potentially Green Suns for 3 here. Wow, Insect. So they get 2 tokens. That is pretty cool. That is pretty cool. What would be cooler if I drew into Plague Engineer? No, but that's fine. Happy to attack with the Orc into Grist. Play a land. Play Strix, maybe draw into a Noble Hierarch. Pretty close. We haven't used Dryad Arbor yet. I think we do want to get the Dryad Arbor into play. Just go wide a little bit here. Can you imagine like Zealous Persecution in this spot? Amazing. Okay, interesting. This has to be endurance. Trophy. I guess we attack everything at Grist, and if they have a blocker like endurance, we then just trophy it. Still have that forest. Do they trade or leave the Dryad Arbor back because they're losing the Grist anyway? I think the Dryad Arbor trade with the Orc is relevant because of Springheart Nantuko, but they don't know that. They just know that from a last match. So I could see the trade here. Well, they could still have an endurance to be fair as well. But again, that doesn't save the Grist now that they need to tap the endurance, the Dryad Arbor. Okay. Alright, they get in. I think here I'm happy to play the Nadu. Ooh. I think it's Nadu. Until I draw a land for the Springheart, I don't want to play that. Happy just to attack with the Strix. Scrib Ranger there would be pretty hilarious. Scrib Ranger, block your Strix. Strix dies. Scrib stays. Yeah, there's the endurance. Thankfully, the Nadu bounces off, but they do have Bowmaster in their deck as well. Okay. At this stage, I'm probably happy just to... Yeah, honestly, happy just to take it. The deck doesn't typically have reach, which is great. Not actual factual reach, but I mean like lightning bolt reach. That's pretty good. Okay. I think I'm happy to attack with the Nadu. Surely they don't have a second endurance. And if they do, we can kill one with the Plague Engineer. Okay. Does that grow the Barrowgoyf? I think it does. Okay. I think at this stage I'm happy to block with the... Oh, well I'm up at 17, so now I'm not going to block. I'd rather have the creature around for Grist. Name Orc. I'll just pass. Questing Beast is fine. I do get to block with the Plague Engineer, or is it powered 2 or less? Okay, I guess we take this. Okay. I'm gonna bestow this. Play a land. Pay. Probably name Shaman. Could attack with the Plague Engineer here. No, I'm pretty happy to keep it around, honestly. I'm happy to take the hit from Questing Beast. It's really only Thoughtseize that gets me here because Thoughtseize takes the Grist. Grist is the nice way out of the Questing Beast. Oh, interesting. Nice. I will bog them. Get my insect. Just take this. They have 0 cards in hand as well. Can you imagine like Cradle here? Cradle would be pretty insane. Misty, still pretty good. Okay. I think we start with the Misty. Grist. Sacrifice this. Deal with the beast. Fetch to 5. Probably get another blue source in the drop. Trigger. Play a Wight. Play a Noble. And then probably just attack with the Nadu. Very interesting. A land, and that's going to be it. Really interesting. I thought that potentially swords in that matchup might just be a bit too much, but also, like, I feel like the MVP in that matchup was the Springheart, and especially the ability to create copies of other creatures. Okay. Pretty happy to mulligan this. Mana is really tight here, and the hand just kind of wobbles a little bit too much. Okay. Happy to keep this. I really want to keep the Wasteland, but Wasteland doesn't allow us to Leovold. But I don't mind just going Forest to the bottom. Turn 1, Trop into Safekeeper, into Underground Sea, into Strix. And then most likely find a fetch off the top. You'd hope. I'd actually love to draw a Mana Dork off the top now and be able to Mana Dork and Wasteland. They could also, if this is a reanimation style deck, they could also hit us, which is pretty huge. Wasteland does put us back, but it doesn't put us back on casting the Leovold, other than obviously taking up the land drop. I think just because I don't want Reanimate or Entomb Reanimate in the same turn, I'm happy to hit them. Oh, Basic Island Tamiyo. Interesting. That's actually pretty nice because it does stop the clues, and it's also a card that I don't really care about, to be fair. So like if they daze this, that's fine, but it's nice that it does turn off those pesky clues. Probably should have also gone for Bayou, knowing that we have the Leo and the Swamp in hand. I'm happy to play into... Am I happy to play into Daze? That is a great question. So glad you brought it up. I think I am. If I'm green sunning here, it's probably for like a Noble Hierarch, which would allow me to run into the Tamiyo. Yeah. I think just because of how good Leo is here, I'm happy to try to move towards... I guess land off the top means like green suns for Grist, which is also really strong. And if I'm not drawing a land off the top, it's probably just another spell that I can jam. So I don't mind just playing the Leo here. And then turning it on with Grist down the line. Yeah. It only gets better. This also means that if they want to brainstorm in response, then the Tamiyo does flip, which means we can then attack the Tamiyo. Okay. I guess I could attack with both there. Yeah. I don't think we even have an out. Like we have, yeah. Safekeeper, Collector Ouphe, probably Bristly. Bowmasters I like, I don't mind the Strixes. Trophies are decent as removal. Yeah, really tricky. Ramanap's an interesting one. Just because they typically play Wasteland, I'm happy to keep it in. Could be the Springheart here. Thoughtseize is also pretty interesting on the play. Just having more control. Knowing what's coming. But I think this is fine. This is a turn 1 Dryad Arbor, turn 2 Strix, which doesn't do a whole lot against the Entomb lines, which is really what I'm worried about. The mid-range plan I'm not too worried about, so pretty much the same hand, but now we're down a card, so I kind of feel like now we just have to try to mulligan for Leyline, which isn't a great feeling, as you can see here. I think we also have to keep the Dryad Arbor. So it's going to be probably these two, and then just try to get our mana on point. That's pretty funny. I was just thinking of like Orcish Bowmasters, but obviously we also get hit by this. This being a fetch land, as we said in game in like the pre-show, I think would be pretty nice here to get the Wight online, or potentially Green Suns for a mana source. Interesting, no frog? Okay. Maybe just like a bounce on the ley line. Interesting. Okay. Honestly, pretty happy to skip forest here. And probably just go for Wight, as it can't be hit by Orcish Bowmasters, and it means if we get a turn with it, the Ignoble Hierarch becomes mana in a way. Hopefully they're doing it because they have the mana, not because they want to go off this turn. But I feel like 5 turns and really no plays from them means they just, yeah, setting it all up. Okay. Interesting. I could have Green Sun there potentially. 2 or 6 mana. Okay. I would assume they know about Bojuka Bog off the Wight, so maybe they have opposition agent, something like that. No. Okay. Interesting. I mean, I don't think Atraxa. Can we get Exalted? Yes, and then we can Talons it out. So I think we're all good here potentially. Because we can attack with the Wight and then before damage, Talons out the Atraxa. I'm just trying to think, do I have to do it now? I think I have. I'm just not too sure when I get priority back. After Exalted. I think I can do it now because it's still an attacking creature. Nice. Very cool. Sideboarding. I don't think it changes too much. It's interesting to know about the basics though. I think we're just going to run this back. Okay. Happy to keep this. Hey Rob Job, welcome. Hey Hippity. Happy to go for Dryad Arbor. Okay. I think you're just like Noble Hierarch because it turns on Leo. Blue, black, green. I think the Wasteland's actually more valuable for me because of Green Suns for Grist. It's probably a good reason to not do that. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Strix might pull some weight. Yeah. Didn't expect that. What do I want to do here? I think it's just going to be try to get a Nadu on field and then see what happens with Nadu. Okay. Hey, Marnie. Guess now I can attack with the Barrowgoyf if I would like. Interesting, because doesn't Death Touch just allow me to kill both? Very interesting. They really just wanted it off the field. That's really interesting that they cared so much about the Barrowgoyf. I guess they knew about this coming, but yeah, really interesting. Still no attacks. I do want to respect Days. They do only have 2 cards, but we can do that quite easily. We're just gonna hold up the trophy here, most likely in the Leovold, so that we get to draw off the Baleful Strix the following turn. Okay. I mean, we have Exalted, so... Doesn't feel great. They draw a card, they get something off the trophy. But I feel like it's a necessary evil. I guess I am a little bit concerned about them hard casting one of these, so I will Wasteland them. Grist here. Green Suns for Grist. Trophy's not the worst. But I do want to see if it resolves. And just because of Harbinger as well, we'll use the Mana Dorks. But definitely in a grinding situation where I don't want to be. I think blue-black just grinds in this sort of position a lot better, especially with cantrips. But we'll put up a fight. potentially this is like our way to get there with like copying Baleful Strixes. So the one key interaction is that Leyline does not stop Barrowgoyf, because Barrowgoyf just says mill. So you mill that many cards, and then you may put a creature card from there. But yeah, I just feel like any sort of card advantage they could have, I want to get rid of, and I want to know that I can get rid of it so I can attack with one of my Strixes. But yeah. I mean, that's definitely interesting. Because we can lower their Barrowgoyf to being a 0, actually. But yeah, there's definitely thought of just holding it, playing a bit of position, not being aggressive, because like, what is the 3 damage going to be? Troll's fine. Especially here, we get to attack for 6 with the endurance. Come on, Green Suns. No, but close-ish. Not really. They chose to shuffle, which is good. But really want to find some sort of really good disruptive piece here. And Green Suns, I think, is the start of that. They're on 0 cards. Okay. So we flip the Liberator, which is cool. I don't think we want to Talons the Tamiyo here. I'm also pretty happy to hold the Talons for now, just because of all the mana that we have. That I think it's going to be tricky to find a situation where we... Yeah, I think I'm happy. I think we can try to win this race, and then Talons out a blocker. I wanted to attack with both there in case they remove just the creature that I attack with Exalted and lose pretty much my whole attack phase. I think we take this one. We take this one, we go to 6. stay at 12. They're holding back the Tamiyo, which is pretty interesting as well. They didn't attack with it for a clue, so they feel like they have probably control over our attack phase the following turn, which kind of makes me just want to take it. They have one card left. Interesting. Could be worried about another Exalted guy. Happy to attack with both. I think here, just because they could double Wasteland us and then put us in a position where we can't Talons without tapping our creatures. Maybe not. We play the Keen-Eye, and then we still hold up 4 here with a basic, which is nice. Force is fine. Now, do they attack with both creatures? They don't. Interesting. They also didn't kill a creature just to see if they could attack through without us being able to block. I think the play here is block all on the troll, and then before damage float the mana to Talon out the Psychic Frog, which won't come back until their next upkeep, but hopefully by then they're dead. Hopefully then we just destroy both things. The other plan is to Talons now, and then just attack again with 2 threats. But then if they have a removal spell for 1 creature, we're just gone. Really interesting spot. They could also double Wasteland us, which, you know, after we get rid of our 3 creatures. So we do have to think about being on 2 mana. I mean, what if they just drew another force? What if they do another land? They didn't attack with the frog, which is really interesting. So they do want to block. They know that they don't win this turn, most likely. And they want to know that we don't win. So maybe they have another creature, and they want to make sure that they respect a removal spell off the top. Yeah, the other creature could be a line. But I can't beat another creature, I don't think. And I can't really beat just fogging this turn. Really interesting. Maybe I can fog this turn. Hey Bugsy, welcome to the channel. A big thank you for the raid. Hope you're doing well. What did you play and how did you go? We're sitting here in game 3 against blue-black Reanimator. And obviously it's 6, so we're taking lethal. And we're thinking about, do we want to Talons the troll, Or do we want to block with our 3 creatures and then before damage float mana and Talons the Frog to try to get through with lethal the following turn? Like play to win? I kind of feel like the play to win is take out the Frog, make them have something. Because I don't think... I don't think getting rid of the troll does enough. I think I need to hope that the 1 card in hand that they drew for this turn isn't relevant. And it isn't. This was huge. That was huge. That's really interesting. Wow. I'm glad we talked through it though. But I feel like if we play it safe, we just don't get there. So I'm glad we did that. And we're on a roll, which is nice. First round loss was always pretty tough, but to come back from that is always cool. You played some Pioneer for a change. The format is still medium, went 3-2 with Enigmatic and 0-3 with White Green Company. White Green Company sounds cool. Is that like White Green is in like Hate Bears? And for reference, when I started Modern, I played like Leon and Arbiter, Loxodon Smiter, like classic Ghost Quarter Hate Bears. I'm not sure if White Green is taxing in any way or if it's just like a beatdown deck. Right. On the play, which is nice. We're gonna mull this. If Wasteland is irrelevant, which looking at the metagame these days could be, pretty happy to mull this. This is actually pretty good. Happy to keep this and probably just button the Collector Ouphe as the outlier. If it's really relevant, we can Green Suns for it down the line. So happy to keep this. Well, to be fair, honestly, it could also just be a basic here. Especially with the Ramanap. It's a little bit tough if they get rid of our Noble. So I do like keeping 3 lands here, especially with the Springheart. So it will just be the Collector Ouphe. Let's just go Trop into Hierarch. If it's a Blood Moon deck, potentially they might think we're only on the 1 color with Noble. And having the forest in our hand is quite nice. City of Traders. It might actually be a Grim Monolith match, a Collector Ouphe matchup, which is pretty rough. But that's the... That's the heart of it. There is definitely the thought of like, if you're on a 6 on Maverick, you just have to go for some of like the lines that just win, and that potentially is just, going for a, like Collector Ouphe might be relevant kind of line. Happy to go for Bayou. Wow. Yeah. Okay, we get a little bit of damage going. And we do also have the Springheart to copy the Bowmaster, so you never know what's going to happen here. But I believe it'll be Soul Land, so at least 3 mana. The issue is that like a second ring obviously gives some protection and probably the time to go off as well the following turn. Okay, so the running commands. So to be fair, Ouphe wouldn't have survived, which is, I guess it would have because of the mana. But they could have played, yeah, it's tough. I actually think because of the Eldrazi spawn, Plague Engineer is just going to be more relevant than something else. That doesn't stop Green Suns, which is nice. The play was potentially to Springheart as well, just go wide a bit. I would assume Khan is a way to win. Khan the Great Creator into Lattice or potentially Walking Ballista. But hey, this weekend, I'll find media. Where are we at? Yep, this weekend I have a bunch of you know what it is. Visitors. It is late here. Yeah, Michael Mapson, Newton Hang, Mark Strassman, Tony Murata, Jonathan Yannick, Connery Knox, and Harry Hackett. So a lot of Maverick, a lot of Elves, Depths, and Post, which will be happening from Friday night, Australian Eastern Standard Time, all the way through to Sunday evening, which is pretty cool. I don't believe we have an out here. I do want to see more of their deck. I would say, yeah, it is quite, yeah, a big mana deck. It probably just wins through Glaring Fresh or Flesh Raker these days, but it could also run sort of Khan, the Great Creator packages. There it is. Okay. We like the Thoughtseizers, we like the Trophies and the Vigors, and I actually do like the Plague Engineers. I think we can cut a lot of the just nuance. A lot of the cards that don't really have text, so like Strix is a pretty easy cut here. Wight's still great because it finds Wasteland. Safekeeper I don't mind because it protects Ouphe. Keen-Eyed, Bristly Bill. Bowmasters I don't mind because of the ring, but we also have the Leovold. Edric come out. Grist I don't mind as a removal spell. So we take these three out. Consign's definitely interesting. Yeah, colorless spell, so Consign's a pretty easy addition as well. It could just be a cut. Yeah. Okay. A little bit tough. I kind of feel like we have to have either turn 1 Consign open or Collector Ouphe. This is turn 1 Noble, but you know, Ancient Tomb into Grim Monolith is a pretty common opening. I think it's just a little bit too slow. Oof. Yeah, even this, like, it does have the Force of Vigor, but what's the plan? Bottom the Arbor, Green Suns for Arbor turn 1, and then just hope for a black source off the top. Okay. Bottom the Swamp. Bottom the Manadork. Turn 1 Thoughtseize, turn 2 potentially Trophy, and then Plague Engineer. So let's open with Bayou. Okay. They have the Flesh Raker, which we don't care about too much. K Command. Saga. I think it's the Flesh Raker. Just because it's something they can play turn 1. They probably play out the petals as well. Oh, they're actually interesting. They don't go for the Saga plan. I think I like just on their draw step. Stopping. And hitting this. They don't play a wastes. That's very interesting. Hmm. I'm not too sure if anyone can tell me here. If I have Plague Engineer in play, and they choose both target player creates X1 color Eldrazi's and exile target creature, they can't do that this turn though, which is good. They currently have 4 mana, so they can only get rid of K command. I can still play the Plague this turn, which is nice. They probably played the Petals so that they could command a Collector Ouphe or float it in response to Green Suns for 2. Interesting. Could take them off the Ancient Tomb here, which is pretty nice. And we know they aren't running basics. They also can't command the Plague Engineer here. I like going after their mana and then hopefully Collector Ouphe just allowing me to stop all of their artifact-based mana. They might even get rid of the Ignoble and draw a card. Okay. I mean, taking 4 mana away from them is pretty nice as well. Saga's pretty good. It does allow us to scry next turn, or surveil I should say. We find that can go in the graveyard. Okay. I think here it's more important to just keep Eldrazi's off the table. This is also an activated ability, so this doesn't do anything. Okay. Wow, no attacks. Did not expect that. I guess the consign does stop a command, which is nice. That looks to be what they're trying to do here. Hey Raven, thanks for the follow, hope you're well. Let me know if you play Legacy. If so, what you play. Okay. Happy to block one. This does have vigilance as well, which is quite cool. This is fine. I don't think I want to block this anyway, because we have Talons. How do they deal the last two? Oh, Glaring Fleshbreaker would be kind of cool. I don't want to sack anything here, obviously. Oh my gosh. Sadly, it was... Yeah, we had to do a creature. Ooh. Am I still alive? I think we've just... Oh no. Sorry, we're waiting for them. Yeah, we don't have a way to... do much here. Yeah, it had to be a creature or a fetch land. Which is still pretty high, but it is what it is. Oh, they can untap. I didn't even think of that. It doesn't really matter because they take 4, go to 5, and then we hopefully, I guess we want to get rid of one. And now that's the creature that we want to get rid of. So if we get rid of this, yeah. Can we grow this? No. Yeah, because with Talons, it comes back in their upkeep, and having a blocker means nothing because they have the artifacts. I think that's it. Quick look. Yeah, because he comes in tapped as well. Yeah. Damn. Tough. Would have been really interesting to see that game one with the Ouphe, but you can't take those back. But deck overall was cool. There were a few games there where we did miss Swords to Plowshares. But I think that the main thing I want to do here is think about like what the deck wants to do. Like we obviously have the Nadu sort of tech going. We have like Wight as well. So we have some sort of like lands to get that are cool. You still want to have like that Maverick focus as well. So having the one-off sort of hate bears. So I think it's a case of potentially looking at, from a bug perspective, what is the main reason to run bug? And then, yeah, kind of go like, is that the Nadu route? Is that the kind of Maverick hate bearish route? Should it just be like a bug mid-range deck that has like 1 or 2 hate bears as just targets? Is this even a Green Suns deck? But yeah, it did come together at times, which was nice. I do think Spymaster's Vault just isn't up to Legacy standard. I think just too much has to go on correct for you for it to do anything. And there was a case tonight where having the extra fetch land would have been really nice from a mana perspective as well. So that was pretty tough. But yeah, always cool to play different types of Mav. And obviously, finishing with a positive record is pretty sweet. Nothing too shabby about that with, sort of version 1.0 of Bug Mav. We didn't see Edric tonight, so can't really say too much there. Leovold was sweet. I did like Leo, but obviously it's tough when cards like Psychic Frog are around, and it can be a little bit hard to use Leo on the defense as well. But yeah, a huge thank you to all of those who came in and watched. A big thank you to the new followers and subscribers. Of course, this weekend is the Legacy Summit, so I'll be back on this channel. I believe I'm opening the night with Connor, which is cool, or it could be Harry. It might actually be Harry. So yeah, a huge thank you to you all. Have a great time, and we'll catch you next time.